Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be reviewing Alice by Christina Henry. I did this as a buddy read and collaboration with B from B Reading. And if you didn't know who I'm talking about, B is a fellow booktuber and I love her channel so much. She's very chaotic about what she actually does on her channel. She makes me laugh. She is such a sweet person, she really is. I will have a link down below to her channel, so please check her channel out, as well as her review for this novel. It will also be down below. I have been a fan of B's channel ever since I found her BookTube newbie tag, and she doesn't have an insane amount of videos on her channel, but she does have a good amount of videos. She always makes me laugh, she always cheers me up, and I'm not sure what genre she more gravitates towards. I think it's horror, but she gives me the impression that she will read anything that interests her. So when we were deciding about what book to do our buddy read on, I said to B to actually choose. I wasn't that bothered and she chose Alice. I had actually got it on my Kindle, and for the majority of this buddy read, this is what I read it on. But I did buy a bunch of Christina Henry's books on eBay as one massive job lot, and a physical copy of Alice came with it. And I did actually read the last 3 or 4 chapters from this actual copy. So a little bit of background information about this book for you guys. This was published on the 4th of August 2015 and it is classified as a dark fantasy novel. And just by looking at the cover, you may be thinking that it has something to do with YA, or that it may be a YA book. Trust me guys, this is not YA, as it deals with loads of subjects that are really uncomfortable, and I'm just going to list these off. So if you are triggered by any of these subjects, then be warned if you want to get into this novel. So this novel touches on violence and bloody, gory violence and murders and all that type of stuff. Blood is mentioned throughout this book. Sexual assault is mentioned quite a bit throughout this book as well. Human trafficking is an issue in this world, which I will touch on in a minute. Cannibalism to a certain extent, or sort of. And body horror. So if any of them things trigger you, then be warned. So before I get into my video, as always, this is going to be a spoiler-free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this book. I also want to touch on, before I get into the story, that this isn't a children's book, guys. Do not read this to young children. I've just listed the triggers for you guys, but do not read this to young children. This isn't Alice in Wonderland or a slightly dark, twisted retelling of Alice in Wonderland. So do not read this to your young children. It will give them nightmares and it will bring up a load of very, very awkward questions. So this story focuses on the events after the classic children's literature novel that we all know and love, Alice in Wonderland. This picks up right from where that book left off, with Alice coming back from her adventures in Wonderland and telling her parents and everyone about her time in this magical world, and also about this mysterious figure, the rabbit. After they hear this, they automatically think that she has lost her marbles and gone completely doolally and insane, and she's crazy, and they put her into a asylum or a hospital. It's sometimes referred to as the asylum and sometimes referred to as a hospital. And Alice is diagnosed as insane, and she's been in this asylum for many years now. I think it's about 10 years. And throughout this institution, all the inmates are put into separate rooms, and Alice has been in this room for all that time, and on the floor there is kind of like this hole in the wall where she can see into the next room or cell or whatever you want to refer it to as, and she can see the next person in the next room or the next patient. And they have a discussion, they become friends, although because the hole is really small she can't see much. But she can see a man with a beard, and his name is Hatcher, who that isn't his real name. We do discover that what his real name is as the novel progresses on. Hatcher is actually in the asylum for being a mass murderer. He got his name Hatcher because his preferred weapon of choice to kill people is a hatchet, or if you don't know what a hatchet is, it's more or less like a small axe. And throughout this book it describes about how he killed people with this axe in graphic detail, and that's why he's in this asylum. Hatcher as a character isn't straightforward evil. He is black and white. He is a very violent man, but he does have a kind of gentler side. And because he spent all this time talking to Alice, he has become very protective over her. And he wants to make sure that she's okay. And I'm not sure whether it's being her friend, but as the book progresses on, they become more romantically involved. Anyway, when they are in the asylum, they talk about this mysterious creature called the Jabberwock, or the Jabberwocky. I had to look up about what this creature was, and it's a creature that was touched on the second Alice in Wonderland book, which I can't remember the title of, but I will put a picture up here. And but this mystical creature who Hatcher has a strange connection to escapes. As the asylum burns down, and Alice and Hatcher escape into the town. Now the world is split up into two different sections. You have New Town and you have Old Town, or New City and Old City. I think it's New City and Old City. New City is where the upper class posh people, the like privileged people reside, and Old City is where it's basically the slums. Crime actually happens a lot in this book as well. And this city is ruled by leaders or actually mob bosses, and these mob bosses are referred to as characters from the original Alice in Wonderland story. So you have obviously the rabbit, you have the caterpillar, you have Cheshire, and so on and so forth. And Hatcher and Alice have to go to these different mob bosses and to try to find out about how they can capture and ultimately kill the Jabberwocky, because that's what their ultimate goal is. This book is extremely weird. It does focus a lot on human trafficking, as I said. The majority of this book, all the bad stuff that happens throughout this book, it actually happens for the most of the time to females. Females in this world get the bad end of the stick. They get assaulted, whether it's sexually assaulted or physically assaulted, and they get eaten, and they get sold as slavery and human trafficking. So it's not that great from a female's perspective. And Alice sees this, and she becomes extremely worried about this. She is constantly trying to stand up for these women and try to say, right, we've got to do something. We've got to free these people and help them out in some way. And Hatcher's trying to say, right, I do want to do that. I do want to help you out, but we've got to try to keep our eye on the goal, which is to find this Jabberwocky creature. Throughout this time, Alice is constantly tormented by her memories with the rabbit in the original Adventures in Wonderland. This rabbit isn't cute and cuddly. This rabbit is extremely vicious. It's basically, if you want to think about it this way, he is the top mob boss. He is the leader. You do not want to mess with the rabbit. The rabbit left a scar on Alice's face, and left her face permanently scarred and mutilated. And yeah, this book is extremely weird. It really is. There is moments there is a lot of moments in this book where I was reading it, I was like, what the hell am I reading? This is extremely weird. And I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they've done that. And for example, in one of these mob bosses establishments, I think it's the Caterpillar. There was a woman in a glass jar, and she has had all these wings sewn into her flesh. Her flesh has been cut open on her back, and these wings have been sewn into the muscles of her back. And she's become so horrified about what she's actually become. She's constantly wanting people to kill her. And this book can be uncomfortable, but this book takes what you know and love about Alice. It gave me the impression that Christina was a massive fan of the original material, and she used that to actually build on. This doesn't take the Lewis Carroll story and completely butcher it. This is more or less like a twisted love story to that original novel. But I really loved it. This is the first book in a trilogy. Me and B are going to be doing a buddy read on the entirety of the trilogy, and I cannot wait to find out about what actually happens throughout the rest of the book or books. At the end of this, I won't spoil it, but it doesn't set up for a sequel. It kind of leaves it loosey-goosey, and okay. That was a nice ending, and something could happen afterwards, if that made any sense at all. So, with all that said, let's go straight to B now with her clip, where she would be telling all you lovely people everything that she loved about this novel and her general feelings for this novel as a whole.
Hi folks, I'm Brittany and I like reading. David was kind enough to read along with me this time around when we read Alice by Christina Henry. I'm going to give you a quick rundown about how I felt about the book. I'm a lifelong Alice in Wonderland fan. I love everything Alice, even collect the books with different illustrations. This is nothing like Alice. This is nothing like the story that we know and love. So what I enjoyed about this book was how dark, gritty, and just nasty it was. Yes, at times, a lot of times, it's really heavy and it has a lot of sensitive content that you really need to be wary about before you go into it, which I'm sure David will tell you about. But I fell in love with this scary, terribly unpredictable world that it's set in. I loved that there was more than one villain. There were a couple main ones, but we got to meet a ton of villains. Everyone's a villain, but they're all so different. It never gets old meeting a new, terrible, scary person. It's always a new adventure and a little horrifying at the same time. I really got attached to the characters. Christina Henry writes these characters so nicely. It really is a build-up from the first page to the last page. You move step by step in knowing them, but also seeing them grow, which is my favorite thing. What I would have loved to see is more time spent with some of the villains. The villains are all so interesting and different. I would have really liked to get to know them a little bit better and see where they're coming from, what happened in their past, why they are the way they are now. Even so, I loved the book. I loved doing this buddy read. It was a lot of fun. I strongly suggest this book to anyone who is very conscious of their triggers and knows their limits. If you're interested in knowing how many stars I gave this video, finish watching David's video and head on over to my channel and give me a visit. I'm gonna introduce you to my dog though. Oh, she's sleeping. I'm gonna wake her up. This is Isla, and if you follow me, you know that she wreaks a ton of havoc on my videos, and today is the only day she has ever slept through a whole video. But for now, I'm gonna say see you later. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for that, B. I cannot wait to read the other books in the series with you, and if you want to know what my thoughts were for this book as a whole then please go over to B's video. As I said, the link will be down below. It will take you right to her video. And yeah, and also while you're over there, click that subscribe button and show B some love. So what I liked about this book is how incredibly gruesome and gory it is. It extremely goes for it. It doesn't tiptoe around the fact all this like fairy tale and all this weird stuff is happening in the background. It's all airy fairy. No, it goes right for the throat. I was speaking to Mark from Slowly Read, and I was saying to him that this is probably the closest thing you can get to grimdark without it being an actual grimdark novel. This book is extremely violent and gory, and it doesn't take any prisoners, and that is what I love about it. When it comes to what I disliked about it, was not really a lot. I would have liked a bit more of a some scenes with Alice and her parents, because she's constantly thinking about how they abandoned her, specifically Alice's mother. And I would have liked to see a few more scenes with Alice and her parents, and how she was confronting them and saying, oh well, I was confused at this moment in my life, and I wanted you to stand up for me, and you didn't do that, and I felt abandoned by you. I would have thought that would have been a more like a really good thing to have in this book. Maybe the other books expand upon that thing, but in this book it didn't really touch on it that much. But the characters Alice's character is really fleshed out, as well as Hatcher's character. But when it comes to what I disliked about it, not really a lot. I liked the majority of this book. So what I'm going to rate this book, I was nearly going to give it a full mark, so 5 out of 5 stars, but I am going to be fair, and I am going to give it a 4.5 stars, purely because I wanted this book to be a bit longer. This is, how long is this? This is 325 pages long, and I would have been completely fine if this was an extra 100 pages long, as I wanted to spend more time in this world. But as I said, I've got the other 2 novels to look forward to. So right now I'm going to give it a 4.5 stars out of 5. So that's it, guys. That is my review on Alice by Christina Henry. Let me know if you've read this. If you have, let me know what your thoughts are on about it. And let me know if you've read any other books by Christina Henry before. I have the majority of her books in my room right now. And let me know what ones are your favourites. So if you have read it, let me know what your thoughts are on about it down below in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video as a whole, please consider clicking that like button. If you have enjoyed this video as a whole, please subscribe to my channel, as it helps out so much. I don't know why I'm doing this. And if you do subscribe, please click on that bell so it will remind you about whenever I upload videos, which are every Monday and Friday. And once again, I will have a link down below in the description to Bee's channel, and it will take you right to her channel. And I will also have another link that will take you right to her collaboration video, so please check her out. And while you're over there, once again, I would really appreciate it if you would click on that lovely subscribe button on her channel. She is awesome. And as always, I will have a link down below to my Goodreads account in case you want to follow me on Goodreads or see what I'm reading or message me or whatever. The link will be down below, and it will take you right to my page. And with all that said and out of the way, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.